Yeah.
Yeah, basically we've built a brand new network from the ground up over the last 4 years. Um, this involved a couple of different projects that meshed in with our fiber to the prem build out. And over the last years, we've seen an increase in demand for reliability from our business customers and from our residential customers as more and more people rely on internet service as a critical service. Um, so literally from the ground up, that includes the conduit and fiber in the ground that we laid over the last 3 years, and then lighting the fiber with brand new core switching infrastructure, new edge routers. Basically, our network is an entirely new network in the last 4 years. Every piece of infrastructure from the core layer 3 switches um, facing towards the internet with brand new edge routers. We've got uh, from those edge routers connections to our upstream internet providers. Every step of the way, focus has been on reliability and redundancy. And the topology of our network is a classic dual star topology where hub sites are connected or dual connected back to our dual cores. And we can lose any one fiber link and still deliver service to any hub site. And from each hub site, we serve anywhere from 1,500 to 3,000 customers. We've really driven the redundancy down into the neighborhood, whereas previously we had a single core switch and a single CMTS and a lot of single points of failure. Um, Along with the design of the GPON network, there's many fewer active devices out in the field. Previously, we had power supplies and nodes and node amps that required a lot of maintenance and can and did fail. Now everything is passive. From the hub site to the customer, it's all passive. There's just fiber that's spliced up, and it's very reliable and it works very well. And because of these upgrades, we can now deliver full gigabit service to any premise in the entire city. There's a lot of communities or areas that say they're gigabit, but they may offer gigabit to just a small neighborhood or a section of town. I mean, we've been able to do gigabit internet service for a few years. If it was by request from a business, we could build out fiber to them and deliver that level of service. But what we're talking about now is vastly different than that, where with a phone call, any customer can call up and request a service, and very quickly it's just enabled on their account, and away they run, enjoying the lightning fast gigabit internet speeds.
I think, Rob, that it really becomes an issue of scalability. So a business locates here or expands here, they may not need gigabit service today, but as they grow, they'll have the assurance of knowing that the service is there, it's waiting for them when they need it, they can turn it up.
That's right. This isn't necessarily about an innovative utility.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, we think of ourselves that way, but really it's an innovative community, and they've backed us for the last 15 to 17 years with the communications utility, and it's really indicative of the types of businesses that we already have here. They're many times leaders in their industry, and these businesses compete nationally and globally. But it also speaks to businesses that may want to locate here in the future. Yeah, you're right. They may not need a full gigabit internet service today, but we've positioned ourselves in our community that we'll be able to scale with them as they grow, and we're ready for the next wave of innovation that may happen by driving the bottlenecks out of our network. Um, the capacity is really incredible capacity on our network, then if you subscribe to a 1 gig service, then you may find that there's some bottlenecks maybe on your network at the business or in the home where your router may not be able to handle a full gigabit internet speed, or maybe your servers or workstations. Certainly Wi-Fi won't go at a full gig today. That may change, but then the other side of the coin is from our network facing the internet, where once the traffic's on the internet, we don't control necessarily where that traffic goes or how it can flow. But where we see bottlenecks on that side are web servers who traditionally see clients that connect to them, at 8 or maybe 10 megabits. If they suddenly start seeing these connections at 1 gigabit speed, they're going to have to upgrade their servers or their internet connections. So basically, we've really driven the bottleneck out of our network and may start exposing bottlenecks in other parts.
Sure. So it's sort of like every round of innovation has a bit of a chicken and egg aspect to it, wouldn't you say?
That's right.
By offering the service, we've always found throughout our history, I think, as a broadband provider, that when you make the bandwidth available to customers, they innovate around that and they find ways to use it productively and profitably for their business. Wouldn't you say that's true? Because you and I, Jim, we remember the days when we had 10 megabit connections for the heaviest business users in town. And it seemed like it was that long ago. But of course, today, almost all of our home users have a connection that's almost twice that fast. So we think that's not changing. That trend is continuing. I think that's a big part of the reason for the launch today.
Yeah, like both Rob and I have indicated, you're always looking out to the future and trying to meet the future needs of your customers and your residences out there. And that's what this investment was all about. We started a couple years ago, and the culmination of it is taking place today with the Gigabit, and we believe that's going to meet the future generation's needs out there for the foreseeable future.
I wanted to talk a little bit about the statewide climate for broadband service in Iowa. And Curtis, I'm going to ask you to weigh in on this.
Sure.
Curtis, of course, works with a number of broadband providers in Iowa in his role at the Municipal Utility Association. Tell us what you're seeing, Curtis, across the state.
Well, I think what we're seeing is among the communities that are served by a municipally owned broadband utility like Cedar Falls, those are the communities that are going to probably continue to stay on the cutting edge of meeting the needs of their customers. It's really about leadership, and the kind of leadership that Cedar Falls is showing here today. In Cedar Falls, you're seeing also other communities with municipal broadband systems showing similar leadership. I kind of joked around with a couple of our broadband members about who's going to be the first to gigabit. And in fact, as I was getting ready for this call, one of the other members who's been working on it said, "Oh, I see we're going to get beat to the punch today." So the real takeaway from that is that the communities that have taken control of their own broadband infrastructure are the ones that are going to see those needs met, and it's about leading the needs of your customers rather than reacting to what they need. As someone I used to live in a municipal broadband community before I moved to central Iowa to take my job at IEMU, and I can tell you it's a night and day difference between the service that people in Cedar Falls and other cities served by municipal broadband utilities versus the real world where you're relying on companies that maybe don't have that vested interest in the community. I think that it's easy for citizens in Cedar Falls and other communities like that to overlook the fact that they are really well taken care of by their community-owned broadband networks. And again, today's announcement is just one more step in the leadership that CFU has shown over the years, and will continue to show, I'm sure, in the future.
Curtis, how many municipal broadband providers are there in Iowa? Currently,
there are 28 communities that have had referendums and have have some form of municipally owned broadband. Some of those, like Cedar Falls, offer service all the way to every home and business, all the way down to other communities that just operate, say, a fiber optic backbone network that they use for schools and city properties and a few businesses. About 20 to 24 of those are in the business of offering broadband all the way to the home. And of those, we have several right now that are in the process of doing exactly what Cedar Falls has already done, and that is taking their original network and rebuilding it to bring fiber all the way to the premise, knowing that that is the wave of the future. The moving from copper to glass is going to be a trend that you're going to see in communities, and it's a necessary trend in order to meet the needs of the communities in the future. So the 28 that are out there have all shown that leadership, and we expect to see other communities take this important step in the future because they feel their needs aren't being met by the other providers that are out there.
I think, Jim, that one of the points you and I wanted to discuss is the fact that CFU is under the guidance of a citizen board of trustees. And our board has been a huge supporter of the broadband service that we offer in Cedar Falls, including the investment in this upgrade. I know you would like to speak to that a little bit.
Well, yes, Betty. It was way back in 1994. There was a referendum taken to our public and to our citizens out there, and they adopted by over a 70% margin that they did not want to be left behind in the global marketplace and the technologies that would be available to them. So they, at that point, passed a referendum that said Cedar Falls Utilities will undertake this initiative, and it was 1996. I believe we connected our first customers up to the broadband system, the internet system, and that was a huge undertaking by our board because it was you're really a leader out there in a world that frankly everybody else was behind us at that point. And we at Cedar Falls Utilities stepped up and did that. And like Curtis just indicated, that this is another reinvestment, huge reinvestment to our community, and is indicative of our determination not to be left behind in the global marketplace and offer this high technology to our customers and both to the residences and the businesses out there. So we're very proud of that fact. Our board has been agreeing to move ahead with this for a number of years, and we can see the dividends in our community as we provide this service. But also want to extend our appreciation to our customers because the loyalty they've shown towards Cedar Falls Utilities and the onboarding and the number of customers that we have allows us to make this reinvestment back into the system that future-proofs us as we go forward.
It's a really important point. I remember 3 or 4 years ago when the board decided to move forward with the fiber project, we were looking at growth trend charts, both in customer growth and also in the amount of bandwidth used per customer. And those growth charts were actually a little alarming. Mm-hmm. We're finding that the amount of bandwidth used in the community year by year is doubling or even more than doubling. So we did an analysis of what the best option would be to make sure that we were meeting customer needs going forward. And, I'm going to bring Rob back on. Rob, you and I were talking the other day about the fact that if you wait until a large number of customers need the service, it's too late to build it.
It is, and the bandwidth is exploding. I think over 15 years we've seen 88% growth year over year in our peak internet bandwidth usage. Of course, that includes customer growth, so it's not a pure year over year growth. Yeah, I mean, if in some cases, if you're looking at businesses today that can only get a T1 from their current provider, that's 1.5 megabits. If that's all you can get, you're going to be altering your business to accommodate for that bottleneck. Whereas today we're talking about 1,000 megabits, so many times the speed. So if you need to download a DVD It'll take hours, many hours on a T1, where on our service it'll be under a minute. So big difference. And as businesses continue to move more and more operations online, the reliability and the speed are two key factors, as well as cost. And as far as reliability, I can add something more about our upstream internet providers. Today we've got contracts for 25 gigabits of upstream internet traffic, and those are at 3 locations, major co-location facilities throughout the Midwest, at major metros, where any one of those 3 links to the outside world can go down, and our customers don't notice the difference. We have scheduled maintenance quarterly, where we test these links, but it seems that farmers with backhoes or construction trucks tend to prompt us to test those links more often than that, because fiber does get cut, it does get torn down off of lines, and that's why we've designed the network to have full capacity even with the loss of one link. And in some cases, these outside links, we've traced the fiber paths, and we know where there's common failure points. And so in our RFPs, we've mandated that here's a common fiber path. If you're on that path, you must protect around that city or around that link. And that has really helped us in situations where fiber has been cut, a major fiber link, where other providers we know have gone down for hours, if not days, where we stayed online. So we know we've built a rock solid network, and we know that it functions the way our businesses and residents expect it to.
That's great. Thanks, Rob. You know, Jim, as we get close to wrapping up the webcast, I wanted to bring it back to talk about the value to the customer in terms of affordability of these services. Because, of course, a key factor is that we want to be providing this service to the customer at a price that makes sense for them. So as we roll this out today, and later today, by the way, you can find the pricing for all of CFU's internet services on our website at cfu.net. Just click the internet tab and you'll see the pricing for home and business services. They start at $30 for basic service, and as of today, they roll all the way up to 1 gigabit for both the residential and the businesses. But I know, Jim, that you like to talk about the 3-legged stool of our value to the customer, and we certainly see that in this product. Maybe you could talk about really where we see the value to the community coming out of this launch today.
Well, I think that, this gives us ability, first of all, before I talk about the pricing or anything, it gives us ability to make Cedar Falls competitive as a business center, not just nationally, but globally. We are amongst a very elite few providers in the world that can offer this kind of service to every resident and every business. And we're very proud of that fact, to be amongst the leaders in this initiative. But in regard to the value, because of the support that we've had from our community, and because of our technology that we've used to build this system, we believe that our pricing is very competitive as we go forward. The reliability, as Rob spoke to, we used to have one connection in 1996, and that used to be acceptable to the residents because there was not so much emphasis put on the internet. There's a lot of emphasis put by our residences and our businesses put on the internet now in regard to moving data, having that high degree of reliability that we need to provide. And so we've got connections to 3 outside providers out there with our system, and we have that redundancy built into the system. So we believe that's important. And then the service, we're very responsive to our customer needs. If and when those come up, we can provide very good service to our customers. But it gets back to meeting the needs, the future needs of our community, and we believe this investment will address that as we go forward.
I think we should also say that the broadband utility is really one part of a complete infrastructure package that we make available as Cedar Falls Utilities and the City of Cedar Falls to get a business the infrastructure, the critical services that they need. So if a business calls us that's thinking of locating here, or a current customer that's expanding, of course we're able to help them with their electric needs, with abundant and very competitively priced water, with great natural gas capacity. The City of Cedar Falls maintains developed land that's business ready and ready to go. So we see the broadband as one more part of a complete package, and we know that when businesses are looking to locate or expand, they need all those pieces. So with this launch today, broadband will never be the limiting factor here in Cedar Falls, we think.
That's right, Anna Betty, and it gets back to our basic fundamental mission of doing what we can to enhance our community and make it more marketable to the young families that want to move in, to the businesses that want to move in. And you only need to go around our community and look at the growth that's taken place, whether it be in our industrial technology park or out into the residential subdivisions. We're very proud to be a part of that with this initiative that we're looking at. And we believe this will take us to another level in regard to being able to attract more businesses and more industries and more residences to our community.
And we invite everybody watching today to visit our website, cfu.net, again to see all the details about our product and to get all the contact information for people who can help you here at CFU. Thanks a lot for joining us today. Bye, Rob. Bye, Curtis.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
Thank you.